Yeah.
Okay, well, let's just rewind back to the start. So my mom is the daughter of a warrior chief in Papua New Guinea. So my mom's family are very powerful, strong, violent people. And when we came to Australia, I lived in Cairns. We were very poor. There was a lot of racism. We had a lot of trauma. And I think becoming an artist has really been a journey of healing for me. It's been a journey of unshaming. It's been a journey of redefining who I am within the confines of this patriarchal capitalist colony.
Mm.
And what really inspires me is telling the utter truth, bringing out shame from the darkest depths of the crevices of our body so that we can release it and just move closer to love. And also, what inspires me is resilience and all the ways that pain carves incredible people. I'm so enamored by pain and the way it structures and restructures people, their hearts, their souls, the way they connect. Obviously, because that's my story and my journey has been about alchemizing my pain into something that serves myself and my community.
Mm. I think that's beautiful. Sean did say you spoke about it in a very beautiful way, and he's not lying. You speak about it so eloquently.
Oh, thank you. Yes, I mean, it's important to me. I think words are like spells. I think that we're so careless with our words, but everything we say has an energy and you can attract that energy. And for me, English was my second language, I learned to read when I learned to write. And it's always been a powerful tool for me for communicating, especially coming from such severe poverty.
Mm. Yeah, definitely. Well, with the idea of Mother May we, I guess where did that idea come from? Where did your the emphasis for this come to create something much larger than a standard like one of
Mm.
your normal poetry nights?
All right, strap yourselves in. It's story time. I had this idea that I wanted to interview 10 of my colleagues who are artists. You know, I am so blessed with being in intimate spaces of friendships with incredible artists in this city, icons in their own right. My best friend, Basha Elman, is a queer model making waves. She curated the most diverse runway for Jordan Gogos this year for Australian Fashion Week. There was trans sisters, there was trans brothers, queer bodies, black, brown, beautiful, all between. And I also am really good friends with an amazing producer, Solo, who used to be in Justice Crew. And the thing is, we all have such a similar story of having these broken people as parents and then having to create ourselves and ground ourselves and the kind of like immensity of expression that it allows, because I think that pain carves deep wells of humanity. So we all kind of have that vibration. And I was like, I'd love to interview them all and then create a show based on those interviews. However, at the beginning of this year, something huge happened to me. I hadn't seen my white dad in about 20 years because when we came to Australia, he abandoned us and he married another woman, a Thai woman, and he tried to reconnect with me, but I had just had so much disdain for him because
Mm.
of what he did to my mother and my family. So I kind of just accepted my stepfather as my dad and just didn't want him to be a part of my life. But I got a phone call from my half sister, who is his only other daughter, saying, Dad's in palliative care and he's going to die. So you have to come here in a week if you want to see him. And during that time, Perth was in ultra lockdown. It was a
All right,
fortress.
yeah.
Yeah. So I was only allowed to be taken by police escort from the airport to the hospital and see my dad for the first time and the last time in 20 years. And the thing is, my plane left late. So I had 15 minutes
Oh,
to say
wow.
hello and goodbye to my dad. And as I started driving there in the Uber, all of this wild emotion started just pouring out of me. I had no control of it. I was literally screaming because it just dawned on me that I never gave him a chance. He never got to know the woman I am. I never got to know the man he is. I never heard his side of the story ever. All I knew was my mum's account of it, and obviously she had so much pain. So by the time I got there and I walked into the hospital room to say goodbye and hello and fill him in on the last 20 years in only 15 minutes, I was screaming. It was so painful. I couldn't believe the amount of pain in my body. And then I kissed him on the head, and I realized it was the first time in my whole life I'd ever kissed my father. And then I was forced out of the room, literally pulled out by the nurses and the doctors because by law I wasn't allowed to be there anymore. And it just opened this huge thing for me. You know, my mom is a survivor, but she's never been a good mother. She's never cared what I did or even, you know, checked in on me to see if I'm alive. And the thing is, it sounds so extreme to so many people, but this is a reality for so many people who are diaspora, whose parents came from a third world country, who are survivors. We don't have the traditional support network of two people. We just have two broken people trying to survive, you know? And it just, I thought to myself, I need to write a play or a piece of art that's really specific to my story, because as an artist, I know that specificity is what works when people connect to the work, you know?
Definitely.
So that was the beginning of Mother May Wee. I wrote a story based on real things that happened, and the whole concept is that the woman's mother has died. I didn't want to make it about my dad because I didn't want to pay homage to him in that way. I wanted it to be for my mother, but also it's kind of a return to her, because if anything like that had happened, it would have destroyed me. So I think this is a journey of healing with my mother, to be honest.
That's beautiful. Yeah. Well, and you describe it as a motivational manifesto as well. Can you kind of elaborate on that?
Absolutely. I think that it's so important when you're talking about Black trauma to also talk about Black joy, resilience, you know, the tenacity it takes when you come from nothing and all you have is your voice and your story. And those two things alone are such powerful tools. And anytime I'm in a space where I can speak to younger people who reflect my story or reflect me physically, my main message is you can turn your pain into your power, into the most powerful thing that will drive the life that you desire, you know?
Yeah, definitely. Wow. I think, it seems to have so much in it, and just I'm kind of like just trying to take in everything that you're talking about, because it's just so powerful, a lot of it. So I can only imagine how it's going to resonate on stage.
Thank you so much. Yeah, that's the thing. I know that as a woman now, the energy I have in my body, my story, where I come from, there's a lot of power, there's a lot of energy, there's a lot of potent energy, and I'm kind of just so ravenous to be able to get on a stage and just go balls to the wall. You know, I am the archetype of the powerful woman, and I really just want to showcase that.
Yeah. And because you've done like a hell of a lot of poetry, and a lot of it is coming from, obviously, what makes up Mother May Wee. So I kind of wanted to ask, what role do you think poetry plays in cultural movements?
In what, sorry?
In cultural movements.
Oh, poetry is the voice of the people. Poetry is one art form that is not policed by where you studied or where you came from or what you look like. Poetry is so powerful because anyone from any level of experience or lack thereof can come into the same room, share the same microphone, be a part of the same event. And also, poetry champions the individual story. You know, everybody comes there to listen to each individual story. And through those stories, we find that we have so much similarity in our humanity and our pain. It's so important for a cultural movement because it shows everybody that your story is worth listening to and you have a place, it has a place, and people are going to be there and receive you. And I think that the revolution is about community. It always has been. The revolution is about healing, and I'm delusional, and in the best way, because some of us have to be delusional, you know.
Yeah, yeah.
I believe in collective healing, and I wish that our government did. I wish that our country did, because punishment is not the answer. Healing is.
That's beautiful. Yeah, no, I definitely agree. And I guess, well, you've talked like a lot about the healing aspect of the show, but what do you want audiences to leave with after seeing it?
I want audiences to leave with a sense of, okay, it's going to sound crazy because obviously I write for people who are like me. I want them to leave with a sense of peace, knowing that they're not insane, they're not broken, their trauma doesn't make them worthless. You know, I have so many young artists and friends around me who are in their early 20s, and it just reminds me when I was there and how broken I felt, because you're still in the early stages of pulling yourself out of your parents' clutches or out of your parents' unconsciousness, I should say, you know, because they're unconsciously moving through life, but we are more aware. That's why spirituality and all this trauma stuff is on brand right now, as it should be. But also, I guess for other audiences, like, let's be real, it's going to be mostly white people coming. I just hope that they leave with a sense of respect and understanding for characters like me.
Yeah. No, I think, I can't really add more onto it. You talk about it so eloquently. It's beautiful.
Thank you.
Well, what's next for you then? Do you have anything else in development, or do you have like your sights set on something after Mother May We, or where you'd like to take it?
I would love to be able to take the show to communities where the story reflects them. That would be really powerful for me. I know how powerful it's been for me to see shows that reflect me. And I have been saying a lot lately that in Australia right now, it's a renaissance of Black and brown art. It's a renaissance of queer art, because we're finally owning our stories, telling it in our own way. And also, most powerfully, we're supporting each other and rising together. In the past, we've all been victim to that mentality. There's only room for one. But when we're rising together as a collective, I look left and right of me. I see all my friends rising. I'm so excited about it, but there's still so much work to do. I want to be able to go into the communities where people are still burdened by their shame and their stories, and be able to share this story and hopefully release some of that. But also, let me just put this out in the universe, because I believe in this. Do you know the poetry show Deaf Poetry Jam?
Oh, it rings a bell. I don't think I've seen it, but it definitely rings a bell. I must have read it somewhere or read about it.
Okay, it's iconic. It was in America. It was hosted by Mos Def, the rapper. And it was just all spoken word, and then, you know, famous people would come and share their lyrics or poetry, and it was on primetime TV, and it was a whole movement in America. Anyway, I would love to host that in Australia. I'm looking at Netflix, I'm looking at Stan. Let's make it happen, baby.
That's so good. I think you could definitely power that on for sure. That's a great idea.
Yes, I know. I think it'd be so powerful. There's nothing like that here.
Exactly. Oh, what a great thing to start. Let's put that out in the universe for sure.
Yes, thank you.